Prestaya Bhutale Gurudas Jayādvaita Swami Niti Namine Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jayādvaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Rama,
Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jai Om Vishnupad Puraman Supadi Praj Acharya Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Nam Acharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai Navadvip Tham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamana Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Welcome everybody to Srimad Bhagavatam reading. This Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. We are beginning with 4:24:29. And I also set a reminder in the chat for those that send messages through the Zoom chat. You can use large font so that it's easier for us to read. On the computer, there's a setting, but on the phone, you have to use an app, like the Notes app for iPhones. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Guru Maharaj, would you like to begin?
The Dharmanishta Shatajanmapi Kuman Virinchitam Eti Tataparam Himam Avyakritam Bhagavato Vaishnavam Padamyataham Vibhuta Kalatyaye. A person who executes his occupational duty properly for 100 births becomes qualified to occupy the post of Brahma. And if he becomes more qualified, he can approach Lord Shiva. A person who is directly surrendered to Lord Krishna or Vishnu in unalloyed devotional service is immediately promoted to the spiritual planets. Lord Shiva and other demigods attain these planets after the destruction of this material world. If someone would like to read the purport, actually, that would be good. Use my voice a lot today.
Madhupati Prabhu? Would you?
Hold on for a minute, yeah.
Pardon? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, hold on for a minute.
Okay.
This verse gives an idea of the highest perfection of the evolutionary process. As described by the Vaishnava poet Jayadeva Goswami, Pralaya Payodi Jale Dityavanasi Vedam. Let us begin tracing the evolutionary process from the point of devastation, Pralaya, when the whole universe is filled with water. At that time there are many fishes and other aquatics. And from these aquatics evolve creepers, trees, etc. From these insects and reptiles evolve, and from them birds, beasts, and then human beings, and finally civilized human beings. Now the civilized human being is at a junction where he can make further evolutionary progress in spiritual life. Here it is stated, Swadharma Nishtaha, that when a living entity comes to a civilized form of life, there must be Swadharma, social divisions according to one's work and qualifications. This is indicated in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 13th verse, Chaturvarnya Maya system, Guna Karma Vibhagasha. According to the three modes of material nature and the word ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me. In civilized human society, there must be the divisions of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. And everyone must properly execute his occupational duty in accordance with his division. Here it is described, Swadharma Nishta, that it does not matter whether one is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra. If one sticks to his position and properly executes his particular duty, he is considered a civilized human being. Otherwise, he is no better than an animal. It is also mentioned herein that whoever executes his occupational duty, Swadharma, for 100 births, for instance, if a Brahmana continues to act as a Brahmana, becomes eligible for promotion to Brahmaloka, the planet where Lord Brahma lives. There is also a planet called Shiva Loka or Sadasiva Loka, which is situated in a marginal position between the spiritual and material worlds. If after being situated in Brahmaloka, one becomes more qualified, he is promoted to Sadasiva Loka. When one becomes even more qualified, he can attain the Vaikuntha Lokas. The Vaikuntha Lokas are targets for everyone, even the demigods, and they can be attained by a devotee who has no desire for material benefit. As indicated in Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, 16th verse, one does not escape material miseries even if he is elevated to Brahmaloka, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka, Puna Avartana Arjuna. Similarly, one is not very safe even if he is promoted to Shiva Loka, because the planet of Shiva Loka is marginal. However, if one attains Vaikuntha Loka, he attains the highest perfection of life and the end of the evolutionary process. Mamopetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. In other words, it is confirmed herein that a person in human society who has developed consciousness must take to Krishna consciousness in order to be promoted to Vaikuntha Loka or Krishna Loka immediately after leaving the body. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naitima meti so Arjuna. A devotee who is fully in Krishna consciousness, who is not attracted by any other loka or planet, including Brahmaloka and Shiva Loka, is immediately transferred to Krishna Loka, Mameti. That is the highest perfection of life and the perfection of the evolutionary process. Guru Maharaj, I'm reading for you, so you can.
Om Gyan Timirandasya Kiranjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dati Shapadantika Vande Hang Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Bhagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajiva Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lolita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamani Panchako Patarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Yevacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare. This, we find this verse quoted fairly often. I've seen it several times in Srimad Bhagavatamrita, Swadharma Nishtasata Janmapi Puman, Virinchatam Eti Tata Paramhima. If one executes one's prescribed duties perfectly for 100 births, one can be promoted to the station of Brahma. The context is usually that, well, that's not so easy. One birth and you've blown one mistake and you've blown the snooze. 100, but if you reach 90 or something and you deviate, now you're back to 0. The counter is reset. So attaining this birth of Brahma by being well situated in one's Swadharma is hard and unlikely. And then one has to go still further to attain the planet of Lord Shiva. So it's an uncertain and difficult process. One has to do it, yes, with difficulty. But if one directly surrenders to Krishna, then kala atyaya, at the annihilation of the material world, not even then, I'm sorry, the Vaishnav can at once go to the spiritual world, and the demigods at the destruction of cosmic manifestation can attain that. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that, among other things, this is the easiest method. It's easier to go back to Godhead than it is to attain the planet of Lord Brahma. Then there's some discussion. Srila Prabhupada talks about the evolutionary process. There's a sociologist of religion, I believe, who's, or history of science, one or the other, I forget his field, who reviewed Srila Prabhupada's take on evolution. And he notes that sometimes, a few times, Srila Prabhupada offers this idea of evolution somewhat akin to what's proposed by modern scientists. If you start with the fish incarnation, then you can gradually be trace promotion upward and upward. It doesn't seem that Srila Prabhupada here or elsewhere is very much committed to this picture. To me it looks like it's concessive. That is, he's giving some concession, all right, to the evolutionary view without being firmly committed to it. His point, though, is that when we come to civilized human life, then that's the time for making further evolutionary progress, that is, progress in spiritual life. Then Prabhupada makes the point that civilized life means varnashram. Below that, there's animal life, but civilized human life means beginning with varnashram dharma. And you may be Brahmin, Kshatriya, whatever, but then you're in human life, otherwise not really human civilization. The conclusion is that the right target is Vaikuntha Loka, the spiritual world. That should be the goal of the intelligent human being. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Would someone be able to volunteer to take the chat since I need to leave the call? Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome to. I don't know who said that, but
Oh, that was Jayādvaita.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
You're welcome, Prabhupada.
And you can take the next text if you would like as well.
Sure.
We just read 29. So we're on
Okay,
the next one.
text 30. Okay, here we go. Ata Bhagavata Yuyam Priyatsta Bhagavan Yata Namad Bhagavatanam Cha Prayan Anyostikar Hichits. Translation: You are all devotees of the Lord, and as such I appreciate that you are as respectable as the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. I know in this way that the devotees also respect me and that I am dear to them. Thus no one can be as dear to the devotees as I am. Purport: It is said, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. Lord Shiva is the best of all devotees. Therefore, all devotees of Lord Krishna are also devotees of Lord Shiva. In Vrindavan, there is Lord Shiva's temple called Gopishvara. The gopis used to worship not only Lord Shiva, but Katyayani or Durga as well, but their aim was to attain the favor of Lord Krishna. A devotee of Lord Krishna does not disrespect Lord Shiva, but worships Lord Shiva as the most exalted devotee of Lord Krishna. Consequently, whenever a devotee worships Lord Shiva, he prays to Lord Shiva to achieve the favor of Krishna, and he does not request material profit. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 20, it is said that generally people worship demigods for some material profit. Kamais taister hutagyana prapadyante nyadevataha. Driven by material lust, they worship demigods. But a devotee never does so, for he is never driven by material lust. That is the difference between a devotee's respect for Lord Shiva and an asura's respect for him. The asura worships Lord Shiva, takes some benediction from him, misuses the benediction, and ultimately is killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who awards him liberation. Because Lord Shiva is a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he loves all the devotees of the Supreme Lord. Lord Shiva told the Prachetas that because they were devotees of the Lord, he loved them very much. Lord Shiva was not kind and merciful only to the Prachetas. Anyone who is a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very dear to Lord Shiva. Not only are the devotees dear to Lord Shiva, but he respects them as much as he respects the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, devotees of the Supreme Lord also worship Lord Shiva as the most dear devotee of Lord Krishna. They do not worship him as a separate personality of Godhead. It is stated in the list of Namaparadas that it is an offense to think that the chanting of the name of Hari and the chanting of Hara or Shiva are the same. The devotees must always know that Lord Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and that Lord Shiva is his devotee. A devotee should be offered respect on the level of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and sometimes even more respect. Indeed, Lord Ram, the personality of Godhead himself, sometimes worshipped Lord Shiva. If a devotee is worshipped by the Lord, why should a devotee not be worshipped by other devotees on the same level with the Lord? This is the conclusion. From this verse, it appears that Lord Shiva blesses the asuras simply for the sake of formality. Actually, he loves one who is devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I do not have any comments on this verse.
And it appears here that Srila Prabhupada may particularly have Vrikasura in mind, whom he mentioned earlier, or in a previous purport, who worshipped Lord Shiva for some material boon, and then wanted to use it even against Lord Shiva. And so the distinction is here that the so-called devotees of Lord Shiva worship him for material boons, but the devotees worship him out of respect and love because he's the best devotee of Lord Krishna. I've told the story a few times, maybe I'll tell it again, how we were walking, a group of us, on Srila Prabhupada's morning walk one time in Vrindavan, in an area called Ranganath Gardens. And Srila Prabhupada came across a small shrine on a raised platform. And when he ascended the stairs to see what the shrine was about, he saw that it was a shrine of Durga Devi. And so Prabhupada offered full dandavats before the shrine of Durga, and then got up onto his knees and looking at the shrine, recited Shrishti Stuti Pralaya Sadhana Shaktireka, and said that we're also worshiping Durga, but not like the materialist, Dhanam Dehi, Rupavati Dehi, but with the request to be engaged in the service of Krishna. The gopis also worshipped Durgaji. Oh, goddess, please let us have Krishna as our husband. So in that mood, one may worship Lord Shiva. Please let us be engaged in the service of Krishna. And then it's also mentioned here that as the devotees have love and respect for Lord Shiva also has great affection for the devotees, not so much for his own devotees, but for the devotees of Lord Vishnu. The devotees should not make the mistake of, no one should make the mistake of thinking that Lord Shiva is on the same level as Lord Vishnu. And on the other hand, no one should disrespect Lord Shiva because he's the greatest of Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.
Okay, I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Is there anyone who would be able to read the next verse? Okay, I can continue if no one else is available.
Please.
Okay. All right, text 31. Idam viviktam japtavyam pavitram mangalam param vikshesakram japi shruyatam tadvadamiva. Translation. Now I shall chant one mantra which is not only transcendental, pure, and auspicious, but is the best prayer for anyone who is aspiring to attain the ultimate goal of life. When I chant this mantra, please hear it carefully and attentively. Purport. The word Viviktam is very significant. No one should think of the prayers recited by Lord Shiva as being sectarian. Rather, they are very confidential, so much so that anyone desiring the ultimate prosperity or auspicious goal of life must take the instructions of Lord Shiva and pray to and glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Lord Shiva himself did.
We can continue.
Sorry about that. Okay. Text 32. Maitreya Uvacha Ityannukrosh Hridayo Bhagavan Ahatan Shiva Badhanjalin Rajaputran Narayana Purovachaha. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued, out of his causeless mercy, the exalted personality Lord Shiva, a great devotee of Lord Narayana, continued to speak to the king's sons who were standing with folded hands. Purport. Lord Shiva voluntarily came to bless the sons of the king as well as do something beneficial for them. He personally chanted the mantra so that the mantra would be more powerful, and he advised that the mantra be chanted by the king's sons, Rajaputras. When a mantra is chanted by a great devotee, the mantra becomes more powerful. Although the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is powerful in itself, a disciple upon initiation receives the mantra from his spiritual master. For when the mantra is chanted by the spiritual master, it becomes more powerful. Lord Shiva advised the sons of the king to hear him attentively, for inattentive hearing is offensive. Okay, and there's actually something in the chat. It looks like it's from about text 31 from Praveen, as being sectarian, and that's in quotes, meaning, question mark.
Let's see. Mm. Vivekta. Idam Vivektam Japtavyam. It seems that Prabhupada's making the point that Vivekta here, Vivekta means particular, that here it's not intended to mean particular as in belonging to a particular sect or a particular, a particular limited group, but rather that it means here confidential, not to be disclosed to anyone and everyone. That seems to be the point. Now, coming to the purport to this verse, 32. On Akrosha Kridiyo, Lord Shiva had mercy in his heart. Prabhupada renders this kind-hearted. Lord Shiva is very kind-hearted, and particularly kind-hearted toward the devotees. So the Rajaputras, the princes, were standing before him with folded hands, Patanjali, as a sign of respect. And Lord Shiva spoke to them this mantra. Lord Shiva's Narayana Para. Narayana Para means devoted to Lord Narayan. That explains itself, yes. Then he chanted himself so that it would be more powerful. The mantra has power, but the power is activated when we hear the mantra from the self-realized soul or from the bona fide spiritual master. Mantra itself always has power. It's like the Hare Krishna mantra. Nija Sarva Shakti, all the energies of the Lord exist within the Maha Mantra, Bhinnatan Nama Namina. There's no difference between the Lord and the holy name of the Lord. So full power is always there, but the power is activated when one receives initiation into the mantra by the bona fide spiritual master. Yes. All right. Hare Krishna.
And in the chat from Praveen, is it like you get more mercy of the holy name when received from spiritual master?
Yes, definitely. Anyone can chant the holy name, and it will be effective. Even Jamil chanted the holy name, and it was effective, although he hadn't been initiated. So the holy name, it's mentioned, the Jiva Goswami mentions, as Prabhupada cites in a purport. There's a verse to this effect, that the holy name is fully independent. It doesn't depend on initiation or purashkarya, previous activities for purification, as you might need for a sacrifice. It's independent. It's Krishna himself, so he can appear to anyone and everyone as he pleases. But in general, the method of connecting with Krishna is through the mercy of the bona fide spiritual master. The connection is established through initiation. All right, Hare Krishna.
And from Murari G. Das, Hare Krishna Maharaj, Lord Chaitanya visited temples of Lord Shiva with his devotees, but Srila Prabhupada didn't give much scope for us to worship Lord Shiva in ISKCON. Was he being very protective?
Yes, there's a letter to Kirtananda Swami. Let me see if I can find it for you quickly. Let's see. There's a letter to Kirtananda. I don't see it right now, where he's in the very early days of New Vrindavan. Prabhupada is directing how this or that would be established, and he was talking about having a lake or a kund, and he said that a murti of Lord Shiva could be there, because this is often done, but then no, actually it would be better not to. And the reason, I think, if I recall, is that it would be a distraction from our focus. The tendency is to be distracted. If there's some variation or some other way to do things, then we're all keen to go for that. And the tendency is, as Prabhupada sometimes found, that we go off course. We latch on to something, and then we're full on into Shiva Bhakti, or full on into astrology, or full on into this or that. And we can forget the real point of being focused in Krishna consciousness. So yes, Prabhupada was protective, and it seems to me that this was his point in that regard. If someone finds the letter, great.
Okay, Murari Prabhu says, thank you, Maharaj. And then I actually have a question myself. When I was very early in Krishna consciousness, I visited, there's an ISKCON temple that does have a Shiva temple. There's like the main temple with the Radha Krishna deities, but then there's actually a Shiva temple, like kind of somewhere else on the grounds. And I was confused about it at the time, but now it kind of seems like it wasn't something that Srila Prabhupada particularly wanted to implement, but maybe it's not actually incorrect because Lord Shiva is a great devotee of Lord Krishna. And I was wondering what your thoughts were on this.
Yeah, I've seen this in Tucson. Maybe that's what your experience was.
Yeah.
And, I talked with Sundamini Mata, our temple president, about it. And her rationale was that people would come to the temple to worship Lord Shiva. Especially, there may be quite a number of South Indians in Tucson. And because there was a Shiva temple, they would come, they would offer respects to Lord Shiva, and then they would come to the main temple. And so this was a way, she thought, to bring people to Mahaprabhu and Krishna. And I saw when I was there that, in fact, there were people who came. That's what they would do. They would go and they would offer respect to Lord Shiva, and then they would come to the main temple, of course, also. So it's not a strategy that I would personally have followed, but I see the logic of it, and so I won't pass judgment on it. And of course, Srila Prabhupada's not here to consult, so we can't get his direct opinion. But I see that, but there's a sense to it that it's certainly we're not against worship of Lord Shiva, although we have a certain context for it. And it was with that understanding and with the aim of bringing people. The temple has been established in that way. I don't think I have more to say than that.
Thank you, Maharaj. And in the chat from Praveen Prabhu, the inattentive listening is not much in our control. So are we bound to be offensive?
Well, we're meant to try to bring it under our control. Otherwise, there'd be no point in listing these offenses and having the spiritual master tell us, try to avoid the 10 offenses. So it may not be much in our control, but we should try to bring it under control. That's the point. And then by that method, we come from offensive chanting gradually to the clearing stage and finally to pure chanting. Hare Krishna.
Okay, I'm not seeing anything else in the chat for now. I was wondering, Naveen Prabhu, are you there? And if so, would you be able to read for a little bit? We're on text 33.
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Shri Rujo Vacha Jitam ta Atma Vidvarya Svastaye Svastir Astume Bhavatarad Radham Sarvasma Atmane Namaha. Translation. Lord Shiva addressed the Supreme Personality of Godhead with the following prayer. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, all glories unto you. You are the most exalted of all self-realized souls. Since you are always auspicious for the self-realized, I wish that you be auspicious for me. You are worshipable by virtue of the all-perfect instructions you give. You are the super soul. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you as the supreme living being. Purport. As soon as a devotee is inspired by the Lord to offer the Lord a prayer, the devotee immediately glorifies the Lord in the beginning by saying, all glories unto you, my Lord. The Lord is glorified because he is considered to be the chief of all self-realized souls. As said in the Vedas, Kata Upanishad 2.2.13, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanash Chaitananam. The Supreme Being, the Personality of Godhead, is the chief living being amongst all living beings. There are different kinds of individual living beings. Some of them are in this material world, and some are in the spiritual world. Those who are in the spiritual world are known to be completely self-realized, because on the spiritual platform, the living entity is not forgetful of his service to the Lord. Therefore, in the spiritual world, all those who are in the devotional service to the Lord are eternally fixed, for they understand the position of the Supreme Being, as well as their individual constitution. Thus, amongst self-realized souls, the Lord is known as the perfectly self-realized soul, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. When the individual soul is fixed in his knowledge of the Lord as the Supreme Being, he actually becomes established in an all-auspicious position. Lord Shiva prays here in that his auspicious position continue eternally by virtue of the Lord's mercy upon him. The Supreme Lord is all perfect, and the Lord instructs that one who worships him also becomes perfect. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Mata Smritir Jnanamapohanam cha. The Lord is situated as a super soul in everyone's heart, but he is so kind to his devotees that he gives them instructions by which they may continue to progress. When they receive instructions from the All-Perfect, there is no chance of their being misled. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Dadami buddhi yogam tamyena mam upayantite. The Lord is always ready to give instructions to the pure devotee so that the devotee can advance further and further in devotional service. Since the Lord gives instructions as Sarvatma, the super soul, Lord Shiva offers him respect with the words Sarvasma Atmane Namaha. The individual soul is called Atma, and the Lord is also called Atma, as well as Paramatma. Being situated in everyone's heart, the Lord is known as the Supreme Atma. Therefore, all obeisances are offered unto him. In this regard, one may refer to the prayers of Kunti in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.20. Tata Paramahamsanam Muninam Amalatmanam Bhakti Yoga Vidhanartam Katam Pashema Histriyaha. The Lord is always ready to give instructions to the Paramahamsas, or the topmost devotees of the Lord, who are completely liberated from all contaminations of the material world. The Lord always gives instructions to such exalted devotees to inform them how they can remain fixed in devotional service. Similarly, it is stated in the Atmarama verse, Bhagavatam 1.7.10. Atmaramascha munayo nirgunta apyu krame kurvantyai haitukim bhaktim itam bhuta gunoharihi. The word Atmarama refers to those who are not interested in the material world, but are simply engaged in spiritual realization. Such self-realized persons are generally considered in two categories, impersonal and personal. However, impersonalists also become devotees when they are attracted by the personal transcendental qualities of the Lord. The conclusion is that Lord Shiva wanted to remain a fixed devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. As explained in the following verses, Lord Shiva never desires to merge into the existence of the Supreme Lord like the impersonalists. Rather, he thinks that it would be good fortune for him to continue to be fixed in the understanding of the Lord as the Supreme Being. By this understanding, one realizes that all living entities, including Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and other demigods, are servants of the Supreme Lord. Maharaj, would you have comments on this verse?
The Lord is described here as Atmavid Varya. Atmavid, one who knows oneself, is known as Atmavid. The self-realized soul is supposed to become, or supposed to be, Atmavid, a knower of the true self. And the Lord also is a knower of himself. The living entity is supposed to have self-realization. The Lord also has self-realization. He's not ignorant of who he is. He's a complete knower. But he's the supreme knower. He's the supreme Atmavid. We can also be Atmavid by the grace of the Lord. But the Lord is always the supreme Atmavid. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. The Yeah. This word is used swasti twice, swasti unto the auspicious, by the grace of the auspicious. May I also be engaged in auspicious devotional service. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, that swasti refers to the eternal condition of being a devotee, such as Sukdev, who had attraction for the sweet qualities of the Lord, desire, devoid of the desire for liberation. And he ends his commentary by saying, let me also have that auspicious state. Let there be perfection, Radham, by worshiping you. And then the answer is, but you attain that worship by Guru, or my devotee, and no one else, not by me. No, you are the form of everyone. You are Guru and devotee. You can make me worship you. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada references Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, Yenama Viyantite. For one who's always engaged in devotional service, Krishna gives direction from within. Prabhupada mentions that. Yes, he gives instructions to the Paramahamsas so that they can remain fixed in devotional service always. Hare Krishna.
I'm not seeing anything in the chat. We have a couple more minutes. Maharaj, do you think we should go on to the next verse?
Next verse will take some time, so
Okay.
I suggest that we pause here. If anyone else wants to contribute something, we have a couple minutes. Otherwise, we're not clock punchers. We could start kirtan.
Is there anyone who would like to?
I had a question, if I can ask Maharaj.
Yes.
It's not directly related to this topic, but it was related to prasadam prayers. So nowadays in ISKCON we chant prasadam prayers, which starts with Mahaprasade Govinde, like that. Somebody told me this is from Mahabharata, and then the next part
I'm
starts
sorry,
with
your audio quality is real echoey. It's very hard to follow what you're saying.
Maharaj, is it okay now?
Maybe it's better.
Okay, so prasadam prayers, we want to know what exactly are prasadam prayers in the early days of ISKCON, or what was Prabhupada's words. And especially on Ekadashi, it seems there is a different prayer. Could you please shed some
Those
light
two
on this?
prayers are there, Shri Ravijajal and Mahaprasade Govinde. Sometimes the Shayanamrita Pao, Anna Amrita, Anna generally means grains, and therefore devotees sometimes leave out that prayer. It's not a very crucial matter. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, in the chat, okay, looks like a quote Praveen has put. I'll read it. It says, Nischintya. So the first question I asked Srila Prabhupada was if I could do Ganesh Puja. I didn't say anything about money. I said that the Nectar of Devotion mentions Ganesh worship. All the Sankirtan devotees signed the letter, and Prabhupada wrote back, my dear sons, please accept my blessings. When we were sitting around reading it, we thought, that's it. Our lives are perfect. Prabhupada has given us his blessings. Then Prabhupada wrote, Krishna says just to worship him, and you're proposing to worship a demigod. Why is this? Krishna says you're less intelligent if you do this. We wouldn't have taken that from anyone, but we were in ecstasy when Prabhupada told us that. Prabhupada went on to say, but if you are attached to worshiping, but still if you are attached to worshiping Ganesh for huge amounts of Lakshmi, ... and then penciled in, to serve Krishna, then you please send me $100,000 a month and not a single farthing less.
He gave a similar instruction to Guru Kripa Maharaj. He asked it with that intention, could we worship him for collecting a lot of funds? He was collecting funds for building the Vrindavan temple, and Prabhupada gave the same order. All right, Kirtan.
Naveen Prabhu, are you up for leading Kirtan?
Yes, sure, I can.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Vishnuvad Purnaman Supadi Praj Charja Ashto Tirashri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shila Sati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamana Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.
Holiness Jayādvaita Swami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for reading and much appreciated.
Of course. Thank you for allowing me to serve.
Hare Krishna.